games. Thank you for joining us today. That is Rick Zamperin from 900 CHML Radio, Bubba O'Neill from CHCH TV Sports, award-winning sports columnist Steve Milton from the Hamilton Spectator. I'm Scott Radley from the Hamilton Spectator and 900 CHML. And Rick, we've heard plenty of stories in the last number of weeks about Kyle Lowry selling his home in Toronto, and rumors of Kyle Lowry wanting to or not wanting to be traded to Philadelphia or whatever. Kyle Lowry has been in the news as the subject of trade rumors, and why not? He's 35, 36. His contract is coming to an end. The Raptors don't look like they're a championship contender at this moment, at least not like they were. Would you, if you ran the Raptors, it sounds like a Dr. Seuss book, but I guess we're not allowed to talk about those these days. But if you ran the Raptors, would you trade Kyle Lowry right now?
So the NBA trade deadline is March 25th, which just happens to be Kyle Lowry's birthday. So what kind of present would that be if he got shipped, especially on that day? For me, I'm leaning towards yes, but, and this is a big but, because it depends. It depends on what you're going to get in return. If you're going to trade him to, let's just throw a team out there, the Clippers, and you're going to reunite him with Kawhi Leonard, and, they're going to go on their run, that's all fine and dandy. But what are you going to get? The Clippers don't have a whole lot of draft picks thanks to the Paul George trade. And if you do get one sometime down the line, it's going to be probably a second rounder that may or may not, and likely may not, turn out to be the next Kyle Lowry. So while I'm leaning towards yes in the thought of getting rid of a guy who's clearly on the downside of his career, but is still very effective and makes a lot of money, but is not going to make as much next year if he signs a 1 or 2 year deal. In saying that, I don't think the Raptors should do it because I don't think the return on the investment is going to match what they already have in Kyle Lowry.
Steve?
You wait as long as you can because of what Rick is saying here in a larger sense is that things can change over a period of time here. And one of the things that can change is injuries. So if somebody suddenly gets an injury, you can get an awful lot more for him closer to the deadline for it. And I think Lowry seems resigned to it, just the way he said, I will retire a Raptor, whatever the circumstances are. And of course, everybody wants that. And the fact that the populace now sees that takes away some of the popular resistance to that. But I think you wait and you see, and you don't trade him away just to trade him away. You might, if you're going to just have the same kind of team, but without Kyle Lowry next year, then maybe you gotta have some sense about this. But if there's an injury, if there's a key couple of injuries here where suddenly Lowry's stock goes way, way, way up, then I think you got to hang on to the 11th and a half hour on this one and see what develops.
Well, Steve, I think you already said this because I think you're talking about injuries. Well, they're already going through this right now at this time. Right? You're talking about a team that's bordering on the 8th playoff spot as it is right now. Now, just about 3 weeks ago, we watched this Raptor team with Kyle Lowry, with OG Anunoby, Van Vliet, and Siakam beat the Milwaukee Bucks twice. They beat the 76ers, and they took care of the Brooklyn Nets. So you're talking about the 3 top teams in the conference that they defeated 4 out of 5 games. Now, for whatever reason, they can't get by the Celtics. They haven't beaten them all season long. And they seem to struggle against Miami. They're 1-2 against them. So the teams they're looking up at, they're struggling at. But they've proven they can beat the best. So when these guys come back, those 3 starters that are missing due to COVID, I think you keep Lowry. You got to take one more run at this. I think at the kick of the can, because as Rick said, I don't think what's going to come back your way is going to be enough. So why not take a run at it? And on top of that, too, has Kyle Lowry not earned the right, in a sense, as probably the greatest Raptor ever, to either stay or go? In that sense, I believe that he likes the guys that he's playing with, and they take one more last run at the playoffs.
But I think he's resigned that he could, and he's been sending that message in public, Bob. I think, and to people. But I think you're right. I think the difference between this team and every other team in the East so far, besides Miami, I think they know how to. And I wouldn't even say Boston's there. They know how to win on some kind of level when they're all together because they've done it. They've won those weird games on the 3 and in the first half of last year too, before the bubble came. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration here. Is why you wait and wait and wait and wait and get more and more and more evidence. And a lot of evidence could come up over the next week.
Kyle Lowry is a fulcrum, I think, because you're going to go one of two ways here. In my mind, if you keep Lowry, it means, as Bubba just described, that you are going for it. And if you're going for it, it means not only are you keeping Lowry, but you're probably trading draft picks or prospects to try and load up at the deadline. Yeah. So you're either dumping Lowry to get your prospects up and your young guys up, or you're going the other way and you're saying this is our year that we're going to give it one last shot. I don't believe that it's just a question of holding Lowry, because what would be the point? Brooklyn, yeah, they beat Brooklyn, they beat Milwaukee, as Bubba said, but you know what? Those playoffs can be a different animal. You better make sure that you have what it takes to beat them in a 7-game series. And so, you know what, Steve, you're right about him earning the right. And there's something else to be said when you're in Toronto, which is a tough market, as we've seen, to lure people to. You can't be seen as a market that just dumps guys willy-nilly and doesn't have loyalty and doesn't listen to the players. That, Masai Ujiri has got to consider that too. If a guy wants to sign here, is he going to be treated right? And I think Toronto has that issue, Rick, to play more than all the other teams in the league.
Yeah, and if the Raps go all in terms of, okay, this is, their window is open, they want to try and win one more, as hard as that would be, I'm not sure they have the pieces to get that piece that puts them into that elite category. Whether it's, a guy, obviously they wouldn't get Kawhi Leonard, but a guy of that ilk, a guy who is a superstar or at least close to it, that's going to put them over the hump to challenge the likes of Brooklyn and Milwaukee and Boston, or probably those top 3 teams
in the East. So
I don't think that would be that would be a positive addition, but he doesn't put them from here to here.
But why are we limiting this discussion to this year?
Well, because Lowry's window,
Kyle Lowry on this team next year, and they play through together and get better for next year just by playing together. Why is that why is it either or about right now?
Well, because I think when you sign Fred VanVleet to the kind of money at that same point guard position, you've already made your statement that you're moving on from Kyle Lowry. So I think that you talk about a kind of an agreement or a kind of, Kyle Lowry kind of knows. This is what you're talking about, is that Kyle Lowry kind of already knows that he's probably going to get traded or he won't be part of the Raptors next year. I think that's already out there, because when you sign VanVleet to the kind of money that he's making over the next 4 years, I think it's $84 million or whatever it is. I think the commitment's already there. The shift is already there. Kyle Lowry will be 35 years old at the end of this month. So I think that move has already been made. I just think that when you look at this team over their last 20 games, when they were all together, without the COVID issues, without missing VanVleet, without missing Siakam, an all-star, VanVleet that should have been an all-star, and OG Anunoby, which is one of the better defensive players that's really learning to score this year, that they can compete with anyone. I'm not saying that they're championship material, but they've shown the ability that they could get to the Eastern Conference Final and catch a flyer, because over those 20 games, they were the second best team in the NBA.
Bubba, let me ask you that question, though. You're not playing at home. You get no playoff revenue. You can't make any money off a playoff run. Who cares if you can win 2 playoff series? To me, this year, it's either we're a championship team or we're not, because there's no upside to the Raptors just to winning a round or 2. There's no benefit to them.
Oh yeah, there
is.
I
think the benefit is. I think the benefit is the culture of the franchise, right? You want to play for a winning team. You want to attract, players to a winning environment. And I think just throwing in the towel and say, we're not at home. We don't care about winning.
Not throwing in the towel.
I think it's not throwing in the towel, but what if they win a playoff?
Future.
Yeah, if they win a playoff round, great. I think it's great for the fans. I think it's great for the young guys on that team, and I think it's great for a team that lost 3 significant pieces to say, hey, we still made the playoffs and won a round. I think that's something to hang your hat on.
Goes back to my point. Do not lose what you already have that nobody else already in this Eastern Conference has, knowing how to win. Don't lose that.
Well, and I don't think there's a climate there to lose some of these young players. I mean, we're seeing the emergence of Bembry. We're seeing the emergence of Boucher, who's, and we kind of saw it coming because they molded this Chris Boucher, who's coming off the bench and is scoring 25, 30 points and blocking 5 balls a night. So I think, Rick, you're onto something there, that, winning a playoff round, or maybe even 2 if they catch a flyer, that sets up something for a good transition, that you haven't lost a lot of players moving on into 2022.
Yeah, when you retool, you have a little better knowledge of what you've got than if you rebuild, because you don't know when you take something apart if the pieces that are still there can be rebuilt in the same manner. You might get like the old thing in Superman with the Bizarro world, right?
Bubba, thanks for mentioning Boucher. Love the way Boucher's played. There's never been a skinny guy who has been as effective since Manute Bol. Maybe Reggie Miller, but he's like an undersized Manute Bol.
You can't keep your eyes off him.
No, if you gave him a giant hat to wear, he'd look like a Q-tip running down the court. He's that skinny, but he's really good.
Incredible defensive prowess. The guy can go up against all the big bodies, and on top of that, the guy shoots a 3-ball. It really is. I mean, I will forget about by next year. We would forget about Gasol and Ibaka, because he's everything those guys are.
Boucher has been absolutely a discovery, and he's been there for a few years, so it's hard to say a discovery. He won a championship with him, but boy, he's really come along this year. What do you think if you were Masai Ujiri, if you had all that power, or not, because we don't know what Masai Ujiri, that's a whole other discussion. What's he doing? But if you had all that power, would you trade Kyle Lowry, build for the future? Or would you say, you know what? No, we've got one more shot at this. Let's keep him and go for it this year and hope we can topple Milwaukee and Brooklyn, and who knows where we go. Let us know. Subscribe, comment, hit notifications so you know when these videos are coming out. They come out often. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.